This is the quick revision guide for fluid mechanics. It is part first. In this, I have covered the basics and the fluid statics. Now, first we need to know what is fluid. Then, a fluid, it is a substance which can flow under the action of tangential or shear stresses. Tendency of continuous deformation, it is known as fluidity, whereas this act of continuous deformation is known as flow. Now we have ideal fluid and real fluid. So ideal fluid is hypothetical fluid under some assumptions that it is non-viscous, incompressible, and having infinite bulk modulus. Then real fluid is viscous, compressible, it can be compressed up to some finite limits, and it has surface tension. Now the important properties of fluids. Specific weight. Specific weight is defined as the weight per unit volume, that is mg, weight divided by volume. So m upon v, we have already know, that is mass per unit volume is density. So rho into g. Now the specific volume. So a specific volume can be defined as 1 by rho, reciprocal of density per unit mass. Another property is specific gravity or relative density. It can be defined as the ratio of density of fluid to the density of standard fluid. For liquids, this standard fluid is water, and for gases, this standard fluid is air. Now for the example, the mercury has density of 13,600, 1000. So the specific gravity or the relative density of mercury will become 13.6. Now the another very important property of fluid is viscosity, and viscosity can be defined as it is the resistance of motion, and it is the basic reason of this is force of the cohesion. It was Newton who discovered this phenomena first, and as per the Newton's, the shear stress is directly proportional to the velocity gradient. This velocity gradient is du by dy, and this mu is proportionality constant. So tau is equals to mu du by dy, where mu is the dynamic viscosity, and if I want to calculate the kinematic viscosity, then it is dynamic viscosity divided by the density. Then the effect of temperature on the viscosity. For the liquids, if temperature increases, the resistance decreases, that's why the viscosity decreases. Whereas in gases, if the temperature increases, resistance increases as well as the viscosity increases. Similar for the kinematic viscosity, with the increase in temperature, kinematic viscosity of liquids decreases, but with the increase in temperature, kinematic viscosity of the gases increases very large. Then the units of viscosity. The unit of viscosity is poise, that is for dynamic viscosity, and 1 poise is equals to 0.1 Newton second per meter square. Similarly, for the kinematic viscosity, it is Stoke, and the value of 1 Stoke is equals to centimeter per second, and it can be converted into meter per second, that is 10 to the power minus 4 meter per second. Now come to the rheology. Rheology, it is the study of classification of fluid. So we have two types of fluid, Newtonian fluids and non-Newtonian fluids. Newtonian fluids are fluids which obey the Newton's law of viscosity, that is tau is equals to mu du by dy, and non-Newtonian fluids which do not obey the Newton's law. So according to this classification, that is Newtonian fluid, the straight line is Newtonian fluid. If the flow consistency is more than 1, then it is known as dilatant fluid. If the flow consistency is less than 1, that is known as pseudoplastic. If an initial stress is required for the flow, then the fluid is known as ideal plastic or Bingham plastic. In the case of this Bingham plastic, if the flow consistency is greater than 1, then the flow is known as rheoplastic, and if the consistency is less than 1, then the fluid is known as thixotropic. In dilatant and pseudoplastic, viscosity is time independent, but in thixotropic and rheoplastic, viscosity is time dependent. So as from previous slide, non-Newtonian fluids, dilatant fluids, these are the examples: butter, quicksand. Bingham plastic fluids are toothpaste, gel, drilling mud, sewage sludge. Pseudoplastic is paper pulp, rubber solution, point, paints, blood, then thixotropic, printers ink, enamels, and rheopactic is gypsum solution in water and bentonite solution. Then the compressibility. Compressibility can be defined as the ratio of volumetric strain to the increase in pressure. With the increase in pressure, the volume decreases and the volumetric strain is produced. So minus sign indicates that with the increase in pressure, volume decreases. The compressibility can also be defined as the reciprocal of the bulk modulus of elasticity. So for gases, this isothermal bulk modulus is Kt, that is rho into RT, and the bulk adiabatic bulk modulus is gamma into P final, and gamma is equals to Cp upon Cv. Now the another important property is surface tension. Surface tension can be defined as the force per unit length mathematically, but it is the phenomena of cohesion. Due to this cohesion, surface tension acts on the interface of liquid. That is, for water air interface at 20 degrees Celsius, the standard value of surface tension is 0.0736 Newton per meter. The pressure inside the drop formation, it is the basic reason of surface tension. Example of surface tension, the drop formation. So for drop formation, we can easily derive this formula: P is equals to 4 sigma by D. Similarly, for bubble, it has two surfaces, so the formula will become 8 sigma by D. Similarly, for jet, you can also derive the cylindrical shape. P is equals to sigma 2 sigma by D. Now the capillary rise, when a very fine diameter tube is immersed in a liquid, then there is a rise or fall in the tube, that is known as capillarity, and the tube is known as capillary tube. This height of water in terms of rise or fall you can calculate with this simple formula: H is equals to 4 sigma cos theta divided by rho GD. Now the another application of capillarity: when a liquid surface supports another liquid of density rho b, then the rise in capillarity will be H is equals to 4 sigma cos theta divided by rho minus rho b into GD. This capillary action is mainly due to the adhesion and cohesion. For capillary action, the dia of tube should be less than 3 centimeters. Now the Pascal's law, as we all know that the Pascal's law is the relative with the intensity of pressure, that the intensity of pressure is similar in the all directions. For a point, if the intensity of pressure in x direction is px, intensity in y direction is py, and intensity in z direction is pz, then this px must be equals to py and must be equals to pz. That is, the intensity of pressure is equal in the all directions. Now the measurement of pressure. So all the major pressure measured from the perfect vacuum are known as absolute pressure. We have an atmospheric pressure line, that is our reference line. All the pressures measured above this atmospheric are known as gauge pressure, whereas the pressure below this atmospheric pressure is known as vacuum pressure. So if I want to calculate the absolute pressure in case of gauge pressure, then the absolute pressure will be atmospheric pressure plus gauge pressure. If the vacuum is there, then the atmosphere pressure minus vacuum. Now the hydrostatic law: as the depth increases, pressure increases. So dp by dh is equals to small w, that is rho g. In downward direction, pressure is increases. In upward direction, pressure decreases. That's why minus sign is used. So P is equals to rho gh is defined from this relation. Now the hydrostatic forces on the submerged surfaces. If a surface is inside the liquid, then a hydrostatic force acts through a point that is known as center of pressure, and the value of force is rho g ah bar, and this h bar is equals to x bar, that is the distance of center of gravity from the free surface of liquid if the plate is horizontal. If the plate is vertical, then this h bar will become x bar plus ig divided by ax bar, where ig is the moment of inertia about the center of gravity. Similarly, if the plate is inclined, then this h bar will become x bar plus ig divided by ax bar multiplied by sine square theta. These are the formula to calculate the hydrostatic force on the submerged surface. Now the Archimedes principle. So Archimedes principle is the buoyancy force is equal to the weight of liquid displaced by the body. Buoyancy force is the thrust force in the upward direction applied by the liquid on the body, and this is the principle of flotation. If the buoyancy force is equals to the weight of the body, then body will float. So H into rho body is equals to the H. Small h is the immersion of the body inside a liquid, is multiplied by the density of fluid. Then the metacenter, and metacenter is the point about which the body oscillates in the water, and the center of buoyancy is the point through which buoyancy force acts on the body. If the body is floating, then this metacenter should be above the CG, and if the body is submerged, then the center of buoyancy must be above CG. Then the time period of oscillation, as I have already told you, that metacenter is the point about which body oscillates, then the time period will be 2 pi under root kg square divided by small g multiplied gm, where gm is the metacentric height, small g is the acceleration due to gravity, and kg is the radius of gyration. Thank you. In next video we will cover the fluid kinematics and the fluid dynamics.